Hey, upper school students, miss you guys, but glad to be with you for a few minutes here again through this video. So, just to be honest, Coach L and I are just kind of sitting here talking kind of between doing our videos, and we're both feeling a lot the same things. And I don't know if you guys are feeling this, but you might be. And so I just wanted to share more of a personal word as much as anything today. I have grown a lot spiritually in the past month. And while that's a really good thing, the bothersome part about that to me is, why didn't I grow the month before that? And my excuse was, just like yours was, boy, I'm just so busy and I got all this school and I got this and I got that, and there's always something to do. And then now we're kind of in this stage where we were just talking, okay, now we all just want to get back to normal. We want to get through this and get on to the schedule again. And when we were in the schedule, we all wanted to say, boy, if I just had a little more time. And now we have more time, and now we wish we're fickle. We just never seem to kind of want what we have right then. Right now, here's what you got. You got time. I mean, you just have it. There's no places to go. There's no events to have. There's no practices. There's none of that stuff. And so I'm going to ask you very seriously as an upper school student, what are you spending your time in? Okay? Are we sleeping all day? Are we getting up playing video games all day? Are we just goofing off? What are we doing with that time? And I got a challenge for you today to do something of eternal value with that time. And so as I was thinking about that, the wisest man in all of the Old Testament was Solomon. And Solomon writes the Proverbs, and he writes the Song of Solomon, which is a beautiful relationship in his family. He writes the Proverbs. There are these kind of nuggets, just little bits of wisdom. By the way, there's 31 chapters of those. There's 31 days max in a month. It's a great devotion. Whatever day of the month it is, go to that proverb, that chapter of Proverbs, and read it. You can always stay on track. There's always something new to learn there. But the other thing he writes is Ecclesiastes. And if I'm being truthful, Ecclesiastes can be depressing. Okay, because he looks at his life and he realizes, kind of at the end of his life, which is when he writes Ecclesiastes, that, man, I've been chasing the wrong stuff. I mean, he was the most powerful, the wealthiest, the wisest. He had anything that he could have ever wanted. But he gets to the end of his life and he says, so what? So what? Like, I was powerful and I was wealthy and I had all this stuff, but so what? There's nothing really valuable to it. And so when you read that whole book as an older guy, you look at him and say, well, he learned those lessons. I'm going to ask all of us, starting with me, to learn those lessons right now and not wait till the end of my life. Not wait till the end of the pandemic or the end of whatever it is. Okay? So I want to read you a passage. And it's in chapter 3, and it starts in verse 9. And he says, what does the worker gain from his toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on men. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for men than to be happy and do good while they live, that everyone may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. He says this is the gift, that we find satisfaction in every single day, in whatever we're doing that particular day. So in verse 9 and 10, he talks about the energy. And he talks about this idea that, he says, what does the worker gain? I've seen the burden that men, and we used to be, okay, before all this stuff happened, so busy. And we got to get up early, and we got to do this, and we got to do this, and we got to do this. And we ran constantly as a society. And then we kind of paused that, and we've realized maybe some of that stuff wasn't really that valuable. Some of that stuff wasn't really that good. I miss not the speed of everything, but I miss sitting in this classroom with you guys and having y'all in here with us. And I miss my coworkers in the hallway, and I miss worshiping on Sunday. My heart hurts so much. I want to go back to worship and have church services again. And so maybe those are the things that matter. Those are the things we devote our energy to. Okay, so right now you've got all this time. What are you devoting your energy to today? What are you going to spend all of your allotted time doing and investing in? He says in verse 11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. And right now, for whatever reason, God's hit the reset button and told all of us to slow down, to chill out, and to go a lot slower. And He'll make beautiful things in that time. I'm being honest with you as your teacher and somebody who's on campus with you guys. I've grown a lot lately, and I should have been doing that the whole time. But God has forced us to just kind of slow down and stop and focus on Him. So I'm going to challenge you to do the very same thing. I'm going to challenge you to take your enjoyment today, and that your enjoyment wouldn't be in anything else except God. That God would be your refuge, that God would be your strength, that His Word would be where you go and where you run, and that you would enjoy spending time in it. And here's why. At the end of verse 11 of Ecclesiastes 3, he says this: He has set eternity in the hearts of men. Meaning we realize as Christians that there's a bigger picture. We realize as believers, as brothers and sisters in Christ, that there's more going on than just what's happening here today. There's more going on than just this period of time during this pandemic and during this stuff that's happening. That there's more that matters than just this short day-to-day stuff. We want to challenge you. Coach Ellen and I want to challenge you as your brothers in Christ to make the most of the time that we have. Paul writes in Ephesians and tells those believers to make the most of the days, to redeem the time, he says, because the days are evil. There's a lot of sin, there's a lot of difficulty around us. So what are you going to invest your time in? You've got energy, you've got enjoyment, but in those two things, I want you to think about eternity. What things are going to matter for the rest of your life and for the rest of eternity when it comes to God? What kind of things can you and I do today that will make an eternal difference? So we're going to worship together today. Coach Ellen's going to lead in that. And I pray that as he does, that you would just listen to what he has to say. Listen to what God has to say through this word and through him as he ministers to you through the music. And I pray that you would take some time today just to consider how you can make the most of this particular day.
How I live for the moment where I'm still in your presence. All the noise dies down. Lord, speak to me now. You have all my attention. I will linger and listen. I can't miss a thing. Lord, I know my heart wants more of you. My heart wants something new, so I surrender all. And all I want is to live within your love, be undone by who you are. My desire is to know you deeper. My fears into the wind. I am desperate for a touch of heaven. You're the fire in the morning. You're the cool in the evening, the breath in my soul, all the life in my bones. There is no hesitation in your love and affection. It's the sweetest of all. And Lord, I know my heart wants more of you. My heart wants something new, so I surrender all. And all I want is to live within your love, be undone by who you are. My desire is to know desperate for a touch of heaven. Open up my heart to you. I open up my heart to you now. So do what only you can. Jesus, have your way in me now. Open up my heart to you. I open up my heart to you now. So do what only you can. Jesus, have your way in me now. Desperate for a touch of heaven.
I want to leave you with this quote. One of my favorite theologians, historical Christians, was a man named Martin Luther, and we've talked about Martin Luther in a lot of our classes, and you guys obviously know his name. But one of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther is that he said he only had 2 days on his calendar. Only 2 days that really mattered to him. He had all this other stuff he had to do and write and preach and all that stuff, but he said only really 2 days matter. And those 2 days were this day and that day. And what he meant by that is all he knew that he could do is live this day that God had given him. This day. The day that he had been given right then, because nothing else was assured. And the only other day that mattered was that day. Meaning the day that either Jesus would come get him or that he would go to Jesus. And so everything that he did in this day was based on the fact that he knew that that day was coming up. So that's my challenge to you. Become a Christian, I want us today to think about all that matters in this day and in that day. Love you guys. God bless you. Go serve your King.